Welcome to the Coffee Experts Club. If you're at all interested in anything we talk about in this episode, go ahead and check out the description down below, or if you even just want to know more about us, click on the links below. Now on to the episode.
Yes, Coffee Experts Club, gentlemen. Can you guys hear when I clap, or does it mute me out?
It's just silent.
It's a fluttering in the background.
That's great. Just me getting excited. Coffee experts know this. I just clapped the shit out of this call. It's going to be so good. It's going to be so amazing. So if you're watching on YouTube, at least you got to see it. Anyway, Coffee Experts, great to see you guys. Ben, Drew, it's great to have Drew back with us again. Drew Moody, nice to have you in the house, son. Your haircut is looking sharp.
Hello.
Looking grand as always.
Thanks.
Dude, the beard's getting long.
This big amount of hair is a lot of upkeep.
Yeah, I pumped up on socials just a couple days ago, the masterclass, myfirstdrivethrough.coffee, and looking back on those, like the pictures of Drew in that era when he had full like Amish beard going, like super like third wave, like cutting edge, like the guy looked like he worked up in Portland. It was amazing, Drew.
Yeah, things changed down here in Belize. It's too hot for that hair.
It's too hot for that kind of beard down there.
Yeah, it does.
Uh-huh.
Things changed. Hey, so I thought that would be a great topic for us to talk about today, not Drew's beard, although it is an amazing thing to talk about. And we do love to look back at trends on how we look before and afters. But I think it would be good for us to talk about today. Are you still relevant? Like the things that you've always done, should they be what you always do? Or is it good to be challenged? You know, I think a lot of people, a lot of business owners, a lot of coffee shops just kind of get stuck in a rut. This is what we've always done. So this is what we'll always do, instead of at times like taking a breath, a step back and asking, but is this still the best way, or is this just the only way we know how to do it? And a lot of times I think they're already overwhelmed. So the thought of changing a system, they're like, bro, click. I'm falling hanging up on this podcast right now. I'm not listening to one more thing this dude has to say. But I do think every day we're advancing, right? Every day there are things that can be learned. Every day there's new technology that's coming out that could make your life easier, could make it better. So our hope is with this show, they're able to bring you some of those things and challenge maybe some sacred cows that you've been holding on to for a long time that you're like, no, I'm not going to let go of that POS system, or no, I won't let go of this scheduling software. No, I'll never use AI. Those things are from the devil. I mean, like whatever it is, but that we would have conversations about it, because all of us want to be doing things most efficient, right? All of us are just trying to get back a little bit of time so we can do some things with our life besides just working. So I thought we could talk about, are we still relevant and what should we be looking at? Ben, what are your thoughts on that?
I mean, there comes a point as you grow that what you started with just doesn't work with where you are, especially if you are constantly growing and you're opening new locations. I mean, the first example that comes to mind is way back in the day when we would run our orders in the drive-thru. We had this beautiful duct tape system of every location had an iPad that ran iMessage, and every runner who would go out and take orders had a little iPod that we would buy. I remember I'd buy all the cheap iPod touches off of Amazon that had Wi-Fi capability. And so they would just text in orders like back and forth. And we were like, this is such a great duct tape system. Like I was like, we came up with such a great idea.
Easy, bro. That's what we're doing down in Belize. Like easy. Drew's like, I don't know if we're the best example. We're back in 1985 down in Belize. But just know, anybody that's listening, that's because no POS system works in Belize. The banks have everything locked down. So none of the cutting edge stuff works in Belize because the country won't allow foreign POS that can take a credit card purchase like it's not available. So
that's so amazing.
Well,
and to your credit and to our credit back then too, like the amount of customers we had coming through the drive-through warranted it. Like we weren't at the point where we were like, 10 cars in line, 6 hours straight. Like it worked because it was free. It was relatively cheap to go on Amazon and buy 6 iPod touches versus having to go through your POS and get a proprietary hardware. So it worked and it was great. It was a great duct tape system, but we got to a certain point where we were like, this is just killing our car times. Like having a kid out there trying to like furiously type out and they came up with such great shorthand too for products. It was like Red Bull was like RDB, STR for strawberry Red Bull. Like they had such great shorthand, but like you see this kid out there like furiously typing in 12 drinks for like a van that's come through. You're like, all right, I don't think this system's going to work anymore. As much as we love it, and as much as like everybody has got this shorthand baked into their brains and everybody knows exactly how it works, that was the biggest thing too, is like we should probably switch systems. We should probably get a legit running system. But then like now we've got to retrain everybody. Like everybody's like set in this one way, and it's going to take such a long onboarding process to retrain everybody in the whole KDS. So that was a big back and forth. Ultimately, we made the switch, and ultimately it was a hell of a lot better for it. But I mean that's just one of so many systems I can count that were like, man, it's working so well. Do we need to change? Do we need to change? Yes, you do at some point need to change your systems.
Drew, what are your thoughts here on those things?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking about the types of people who could be listening to this and thinking about the difference between like a up and coming coffee shop in Southern California versus a coffee shop in, Idaho or Montana. And like one of these coffee shops is going to be forced to constantly be changing because of the fast pace of the environment, the fast pace of the state itself, the laws and regulations, and just the space that they're in versus the next one that's, a little bit slower going, a little bit easier, a little bit more casual.
Mm-hmm.
And just probably the different, processing of this content, because in one, you're going to be forced, in one, you don't necessarily have to unless you choose to. And I mean, the innovation that we had to experience was by necessity. We experienced influx of customers that would bend our systems until they broke. And that was kind of how it worked. We'd let things bend and bend and bend until it would break and it didn't work anymore. And that would cause us to be like, okay, well, now we have to react to this breaking of our system and put something in place. I would suggest not waiting till it breaks to solve the problem. We had a lot of times, and we talk about it now, you call it bookshelf strategies, where if something's going to happen, let's have a plan for that ahead of time. We've experienced that down here just because in Belize, there's so much that we don't know about the culture, about the business environment, about the laws, about, we've been learning, we do as much homework as we can and research, but even, in how we're dealing with, say, our payroll or how we're dealing with our incentive structures, it's challenged everything that we did in the States. And one thing we try to do is be fancy with it. How can we benefit our employees as much as possible? How can we create systems around how much they work versus how much we can compensate them versus how much they're getting from the back end by incentives or bonuses or extras, and how long can we do this until we have suddenly too many employees to manage this, which we just reached a certain point where we're like, okay, well, now we have to start streamlining these processes. Whereas before it was like, okay, we have these 5 or 6 or 10 individuals who are really excelling at things, and how can we really benefit them? But it's like, okay, well, what about the rest of these people are catching up, and the system wasn't built for 30 people, the system was built for 10 people. So we're experiencing some of those breakages right now. Luckily, we have an eye towards the future all of the time. But I do think that having a plan for what does this look like if I stack another 50 people into it? What is this, whether it's 50 employees or 50 customers? What does this look like? And would it survive that type of stress?
I think there's definitely that spot where it's like, okay, so how big are you? I mean, like, how much are we talking about? How big is the need to scale right now? If you're at 1 or 2 shops, you can probably get by with some things that maybe aren't the most efficient. Are like it's right. You're going to start somewhere, and those bigger systems are expensive. You know what I mean? So like I would always say, let's try free and cheap first, but think with the future in mind too. You know what I mean? Like I think some of the gift of what you're talking about, Ben, with the shorthand and how we did it, that framed up how we would actually roll into the next system because we had those things broken out that way. Like there's a cadence when a car comes up, like how we're taking an order. You know what I mean? Like what kind of drink, what size of a drink, what's the add-ons they're doing. Like there's a cadence to the way the shorthand worked, and that largely informed how did we do the additions within the POS system on how they were added. That informed how they were typing the button, the guy that was seeing the KDS on the inside. And then that actually informed when we did move away from Square and move to Touchpoint, I think is what we did, Ben, back at Roasters. Obviously the downside to moving to a system like Touchpoint was we immediately began paying royalties to this company. You know what I mean? Whereas Square was like, hey, use our program for free. We're only going to charge you the 2.9 plus 3 cents or whatever, plus 30 cents it was on every single transaction. We're like, hey, but we're not paying for a system and we can use iPads and like, we're not going to have to do that stuff. The second you pull into a proprietary system, you're paying a royalty on the machines. You're paying for all of their hardware. You're paying a monthly fee for their software. Any of the tech largely is going to require their help to do it instead of you being able to take that on. So there are complexities that come with efficiencies. Do you know what I mean? Like, yes, this is more efficient, but it's more complex and we can't do it all ourselves anymore. But like the benefit is you do get the kickback. And I do think that since then, like Touchpoint was made big by Dutch Bros. We just followed in their wake. And then everybody's kind of moved on to some different things. I know Toast Clover. There's some other big players out there now, but we just picked up a coffee client that's still on Square. So I think that we at the Coffee Experts, like this gal that we just picked up has 4 locations, opening her 5th. So it's not like she's small. She's kicking ass, taking names, still on Square. So we're kind of systems agnostic when it comes to what you're going to use. It's more like, how can you use it the best, and where are you at in your trajectory on growth, and then where are you experiencing breakages? And then to Drew's point, let's try and get in front of it before it breaks. The reason I smiled when Drew talked about breaking and like bending till it breaks, or I just imagine Ben Clatterbuck at Road 68 falling, duct taping his sink back when the breakage happened. And like, you don't want to be duct taping something forever, because it's not going to be a good solution for long term.
I made a beautiful duct tape sling keeping those PVC pipes in place. I will tell you what, it was a little harness, and that PVC pipe never popped out. only like once every other week did that PVC pipe fall out and water spill over the floor. But no, yeah, I think that's a great point. As a business owner, you know what your bend and break points are because you're feeling them every day. It's just being able to look up from what you're doing a little bit and forecast, like Drew said, what does that look like with the extra 50 or the extra employees or customers? Because I mean, even to Drew's point, at Roasters, as we were growing, we kept hitting milestones where it's like, okay, you have X amount of locations and X amount of employees. That means you fall under a new level of regulations when it comes to your payroll. Are you pulling out for family medical leave? Okay, now you've got management. Now you are required to offer X amount of bonus packages to the management, whether it's health insurance, yada, yada, yada. So you do want to keep an eye on that. I mean, just from a pure regulatory standpoint, like in the United States, you don't want to get caught with your pants down when it comes to, anything on the west side of the country when it comes to employee regulations. So I would absolutely make sure that if you don't like doing that as an owner, somebody on your team, is keeping an eyeball on those things. But even outside of the regulation standpoint and your operational standpoint, I mean, there's things that, you could be growing your locations from 2, 3, 4, 5, and just posting on Instagram has been all you needed. And you know what? This is my system is I don't need to market. I just post pictures of my drinks on Instagram, and I've done well up till now. I'm just going to keep doing that. Great. That might work for you. Or you know what? I just go in and I flip a coffee shop and I just put a new color of paint on the outside and I'm call it good. And it's worked for me up till then. Great. But is that going to work for you at location 8, location 15? Right. Like there's a certain amount where, to your point, Aaron, like, yeah, you can't just go from A to Z when it comes to your systems, but there has to be some sort of evolution. You have to be changing at least a little bit because for us to go from when we first started at Roasters, we had no POS. It was cash in hand. We did the math in our head and we would be like, okay, here's your $75 back. If we were to go from that, yeah, it was pretty wild, pretty wild stuff. And that was actually how you knew you were a good barista, because you could add up 4 or 5 drinks in your head of how much they would cost and then give the correct change back. This is the wild, wild west of 2009. But for us to go from that straight to using Touchpoint, that learning gap would have been even larger if we hadn't had Square and iPad in between of iMessaging. You do kind of have to take steps. You don't need to go crazy, but if I'm just posting on Instagram, maybe I pull in TikTok too. I'm going to start posting a couple places for my marketing. Maybe if I take over another coffee shop, I don't just paint the building. Maybe I swap out the furniture too. I want to start making small changes so that when I do have 15 locations, if I get to that point, that I don't have to jump a giant gap in my systems and the learning process takes that much longer.
And we're talking about some pretty big things, but I mean, really, we only have 3 stores down here. And it's like, if you're a coffee shop owner, if you got 1 store, 3 stores, 15 stores, you have things that bother you. It's like, okay, well, where do I start? How do I get myself on the path to going from, doing math in my head to a touch point? And it's like, okay, well, focus on what annoys you the most and then create a system for that. Like, don't just solve it one week and then wait for the next week for that same annoyance to roll around and you deal with it again. Be proactive in those things. And those are the steps that when you take those steps, it's going to actually teach you, okay, this is the direction that I'm heading. These are my capabilities right now. These are my problem solving abilities, because that's something you're going to have to grow too, is go from 1 to 3 to 10 stores. Your own problem solving ability is going to have to increase. Your ingenuity capacity is going to have to grow. And if you don't know where to start with what bothers you.
I would say too, maybe on top of what bothers you the most is what's the biggest time suck, not only for you, but for your employees. Like, what's something that if you fixed it, it would give you immediately the gift of so much more time back. And I think because indirectly you're paying people's labor to do that stuff, or you're burning your own sweat equity, right? So like, let's think about, yes, this could be a pretty big shift, but what's the gift you're giving yourself back? If it's something that's only going to give you a little back, I would say create a list, right? And prioritize them based upon how much are you going to get back? What's the return on investment of time? I think a lot of people look at ROI when it comes to money. But what's the return on investment in time? Not realizing that whether it's your people's time that you're actually paying for, or if it's your time that you're given as sweat equity, like what could your time be given to if you weren't burning 10 hours a week doing that? Like how could we give you that gift of time back? And so then, like, I think about scheduling softwares that are out there now, how far those have come, when it comes to like the reporting that comes off of those things, the way those things will integrate with pay structure. Like there's just so things are always growing. And I know coffee shops, listen, let's say this. So those of you who are listening, don't feel bad. Coffee shops are one of the slowest adopters to technology. Right? Because we're an analog world. We're craft, right? We like the way things taste. Like we like the art. We like the different pieces. We like the human exchange. Don't talk to me about AI around here, brother. Like I think that we can pull into this whole mindset instead of realizing, no, listen, to think technology is going away is silly. It's not. Is there a way that we could implement technology in a way that wouldn't be too invasive, but that would give you the gift of time back again, or make things so much easier, or make it so you're not pulling apart Google spreadsheets for the rest of your life? Like what would we do where we could adopt something that would actually be the gift of time back to you? And yeah, there might be some technology learning curve. And yes, that might stretch you, but that might be a good thing, right?
Yeah, I had a client I'm working with just a couple of days ago talking about wanting to put up digital menus in their locations, and how they hate the idea of having to swap out a USB stick or swap out hardware every time they change their menus or do specials. And it was like, man, wish there was just an app for that. Well, I've got a great program that I've been using that's just an AI app builder. It took me 45 minutes to put something together. And I was like, hey, you guys could actually do this. And you could control all of your locations, all the specials just from one computer at home. Just drop some pictures in and boom, it goes out to your digital screens.
And that was the cool thing too, right? It was they had multiple locations they wanted to run multiple things on, and you were able to put something in 45 minutes that gave them the ability to uniquely be driving multiple screens at different locations based on this thing that you created using AI. You don't know how to do that stuff.
I don't code. I don't know software. Like I bit of a tech head, but ask me to build an app, no way. But I can tell a program what I want out of an app and what would be ideal for this. I've got 4 locations. I need to have different menus on all 4 of them with different specials, and I need them to rotate through. Great. I'll pop it in. Out comes a little app, and you're on your way. So definitely, especially this time that we're in right now, not being afraid of technology is going to give you a leg up on a lot of cash output. I will say that. That's for sure.
I would say too, like if that stuff does make you nervous, just reach out to us. Like we would love to help you. Like if you're following us on socials, just direct message us. It'll get back to us. Like we're working with brands every single day. And I think one of the gifts that we bring at the Collab team is that we're not just going to tell you what to do. We'll just jump in there with you and do it. Like, let's just get you fixed. Like Ben said, he created that thing up, spun that thing up 45 minutes, pushed it out to the client. Like Ben didn't charge them for that. That was just time that Ben was already working for them. It just cost Ben's time and his brilliance. And so if you're like, hey, I'm wildly analog. I know Ben, you've got a client right now that's like that. What did she tell you the other day? Like, I wish the computers are she had a really cool.
I wish that phones and computers didn't exist because I don't understand them.
That's right. So, like, if that's you listening to the show today, that's fine. That's not your wheelhouse. That's okay. Just find somebody that you can partner with that you know, love, and trust, that knows what they're talking about, that can get involved in it with you and push and pull on, hey, what do you think is something that I should be challenging? Hey, and let them get in the boat with you and work through things with you and help you design a working list of, let's attack in this order, the top 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 at your budget, at your timeline. Like, but that way, a year from now, you can be like, do you know how far we've come in just a year? But if you don't make that choice, if you don't make that decision now, if you're too overwhelmed, the thought is too overwhelming, so you're not going to look it in the face, it's going to cost you. And you're going to get left behind, and that is going to have an impact. I know Drew really challenged me the other day, and maybe we can end the show talking about this, Drew. Our location number 1 in Belize kicked ass and took names, and it was right on a walking street, visibility. You didn't have to come looking for us. You just smelled coffee down the street. You came walking in, ideal, right? But they're tearing down the building. We had to move the location. We moved it across the street. As we moved across the street, like, I wanted to go minimalist, right? I'm like, hey, like least amount of dollars we have to put out, and Drew's like, bro, we need to make it a little bit nicer. Like, we've been there for 3 years. Let's give the people something better. And so Drew freaking twisted my arm. We spent way more than I wanted to, but man,
More than I wanted to.
But Drew, maybe talk about philosophy behind that, like not just staying stuck in what we were, but man, elevating it a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, we faced that situation of like, what are we going to do? What's available? What's around? What's there? And really, most of the things that were around us were a downgrade. And so we couldn't really pull our flagship location and then provide less of an experience at a less convenient location to the people who really built our brand. And that's really what it is. San Ignacio built our brand up. Without that first location, the other two would have been much more difficult to pull off, just in exposure and following, and also, of course, our traffic. And so how do we provide a nice experience? It's out of the way. It's a little more out of the way. So how do we make it more enticing to get people through our door? So we have a nicer environment. We have nicer food. Our baristas have to wear closed-toed shoes now because it's inside. And so, I mean, there's little levels to the upgrades that we provided just to get back to the people. We have nicer music, better murals, nicer lighting. Like, there's all of these things that we took into account to support the people who supported us, and how do we bring them in and show them that we really cared about how they've treated us over the last few years.
All righty, boys. Well, great Coffee Experts. Coffee Experts, as you were listening, I hope that gave you some inspiration. You can always reach out. We'd always love to hear from you. Any of the socials, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, we're all there, and we would love to talk to you. So reach out. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Ben and Drew, you are awesome. Coffee Experts, we'll see you back next week here on Coffee Experts Club.
Thanks, guys.